Give us 60 minutes and we'll give you Nelson Radio every Saturday from 2 to 3 p.m. on KTLK AM 1150. With 29 years in the mortgage business and an array of top-level guests visiting the show, Nelson is in a unique position to bring you cutting-edge information on real estate, business, finance, and law. If you have any questions for Nelson or any of his guests, give him a call at 888-888-2136. That's 888-888-2136. Or check him out online at nelsonradio.com.
Nelson Radio.
Welcome back to Nelson Radio, heard on KTLK AM 1150, Saturdays from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock, and we are moving into our Coach's Corner, one of our famed segments at Nelson Radio.
Right, this is where you get the absolute insight from the real pros of the world.
There you have it. This is my co-host, Phil Emmel, for Prudential California Realty in Monarch Beach, and I want to introduce Phil, longtime NFL quarterback, 17 years in the league, Steve Beuerlein. Unbelievable career, has been with 6 franchises over the 17 years, and I have to beg for forgiveness because I don't know. I know you were, made the Pro Bowl. Did you slide on a championship ring?
I did.
Tell me about that. You got to share the story.
Yeah, Dallas Cowboys, it was the 1992 season, so it would have been the 93 Super Bowl 29, I think. I get confused with my numbers, but I think it was Super Bowl 29.
But you know you got the ring.
I got the ring. I didn't bring it tonight, unfortunately. I was given a little grief about that earlier by one of the pretty ladies here watching the show.
Right.
Or watching us do the show. But, yeah, the 1992 Dallas Cowboys, it was the first of the Cowboys' 3 Super Bowl years over a 4-year period. And it was a great experience to go through that and to experience that. Even though I was a backup for Troy Aikman that year, I was a nice big part of what was going on in the revitalization of the Dallas Cowboys, and to have that ring, kind of the culmination of every little boy's dream to be able to be on that podium with the ring. And for me, it timed out great too. It was almost kind of divine intervention. It was the Super Bowl was right here in Pasadena. We played the Buffalo Bills, so I was home and got to have that experience with a lot of not only my family but my best friends from growing up. And so it was a neat overall experience. And I grew up a huge UCLA fan, believe it or not. I'm not going to talk about that other
There's
three-letter.
people turning over Notre Dame alumni right now.
Well, it's okay. The Notre Dame people are okay as long as I'm not touting USC. I'm okay. So I was a UCLA fan growing up in the Rose Bowl, and to be able to play a game of that magnitude in the Rose Bowl was spectacular and a great experience.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Talk to us about revitalizing. A 17-year career. You were with 6 different NFL franchises, different set of offensive coordinators, different set of quarterback coaches. You had to morph and change across your career.
Definitely, and I think that for a person in my position, that was the key. Adaptability, to be able to adjust to new environments and be able to bounce back from adversity. Reestablish or revitalize, as you're talking about here, your career.
Right.
And I had many opportunities during the course of my career. The great thing about it was that I wasn't more talented than everybody else. That's not what allowed me to play 17 years in the league. What allowed me to play that long was the fact that, number one, I was able to be fairly durable. I had a lot of injuries over the course of my career, but most of them were done in the off season, and I was able to always answer the bell, so to speak. But most importantly I was a good teammate. I think most people would agree with that, and there was always a coach that wanted me on their team. And so I always had an opportunity because they realized that I was a good team guy, a good locker room guy, and a guy they could count on. And so even if I had experienced some sort of failure along the way, they knew that I had kind of the inner strength and the ability to kind of bounce back from it, and I was going to be a good, positive influence on that team. And that's why you last 17 years in the NFL.
Phil and I go through this in business. When you look at conducting yourself in the scope of residential real estate, there's teams of people that are surrounding us, whether that be the lending community like Academy Mortgage with my company, or with the escrows and title insurances and home warranties and appraisers and so forth. With being on the field, I have to ask you this question. You must have an eye for seeing performance, identifying performance. But is it easier now as an analyst, or is it easier from the field, picking out that talent and being able to coordinate it?
I think you either have the ability to see it or you don't. And it's like having a great eye for real estate or having a great eye for whatever it is that you do in your professional career. You know, you're in that position as a player or as an analyst because you bring something special to the table. You have a unique ability, and to be able to, as I am now as an analyst for CBS, to be able to convey that to a person who may not have quite the understanding of why a person is successful or not, or why a team is playing well or not. To be able to communicate that is really the art of being a broadcaster. And as a player, sure, you have to have the ability to identify matchups and be able to, as you become a more veteran player, coaches kind of come to you when they talk about the younger player. What do you think about this guy? Do you think does he have a chance? Does he have what it takes to be successful? Can we count on him? Well, if you've been around for 10 or 12 years in the league, they're going to rely on your opinion quite heavily. They're going to say, what do you think? We're trying to decide between these two guys. Who do you like? And you have to have the confidence and the ability to make a sound argument and make a decision for them. So, yeah, that's a big part of being able to analyze and understand why people are either successful or not in that particular profession.
You're listening to Steve Beuerlein, NFL famed quarterback, Super Bowl champion. You can reach us direct, 888-888-2136. That's 888-888-2136. One more question before I let you go here, and it's again in that vein of revitalizing performance. In the business community, the community at large, we're seeing that the city of Dana Point revitalizing their look and the presentation of the city. How do you coach that? How do you get people inspired, get them to work collectively like you do with your teams?
I think it's all about people. It really comes down to people and being able to find a way to get other people to see the vision and buy into it. And that comes from enthusiasm. It comes from confidence. It comes from competence as well. So getting good people in the right positions, not only from a decision-making standpoint, but from an exposure standpoint, from getting the word out that, hey, there's something special going on here in Dana Point. You know, we bought into it. I live here in Dana Point, and I'm excited about it. I was in had an opportunity to come out here and work for Willis Insurance Services right here. We're in the Orange County office, and Willis is a huge international insurance broker, commercial insurance, and it gave me a chance to get back home and evaluate where I wanted to be in Southern California. Well, I met so many people from South County down here that were fired up about what was going on in this area. That made me start looking closely into it. Hey, what's going on down there? And then I met some other people in Dana Point. Dana Point is a place you want to be. Well, next thing you know, here we are. I'm living in Dana Point. So I think people are key.
I want you to freeze frame that. I'm going to ask you to stay with us because I want to talk to you, coming full circle back to real estate in terms of moving from one side of the U.S. to the other and some of the things that you faced in the real estate sector. You're with Steve Beuerlein, famed NFL quarterback, Super Bowl champion, 17-year veteran to the league, right here on Nelson Radio. You can reach us direct at 888-888-2136. That's 888-888-2136 or at nelsonradio.com. Stay with us. We're going to be right back with quarterback Steve Beuerlein. Welcome back to Nelson Radio, heard right here on KTLK AM 1150. And I want to welcome back NFL quarterback, 17-year veteran, Steve Beuerlein. And we're going to take a little bit of a spin on Stump the Experts because I wanted to, Steve, get your insights as you relocated your family. Wife, 4 children, you're out in North Carolina. You want to come home to Southern California, but that's a big move. And just give us a little bit of a peek behind the curtain, what it was like to come back into your home county and find the place that you're going to call home.
Well, you know, when I finished my career, I finished with 3 years at the Denver Broncos, and I was a backup quarterback there. I had a few injury issues, and I just was trying to decide the last couple of years if I wanted to stick with it and keep playing. But one thing that we knew when I was done playing football, we wanted to move back to North Carolina, where we had kind of raised our kids.
Right.
But the intention all along, even though we wanted to go back to North Carolina initially, was to eventually get back to the West Coast because my wife was from Northern California and I was from right here in Southern California, Orange County. So we knew at some point we wanted to get back this way. Well, as the post-career kind of went along, it didn't seem like it was going to happen. And we were getting more and more ingrained in the community in Charlotte, North Carolina. Beautiful city. A little bit too hot and humid for me in the summertime.
Right.
But
the 90
I would dream
days.
about the California summers every year. But we finally had an opportunity to really think hard about coming back out here. And when we decided to come back out here, we knew that we wanted to be in Orange County. Didn't know exactly where. Of course, you take schools into consideration. And, I went to Servite High School in Anaheim and been a product of private, Catholic school education. And there's so many options out here in Orange County for those type of schools as well. So that was a big factor for us. But more importantly, we wanted to make sure that we were in the right neighborhood, the right environment for our kids where we all would be happy. We knew we were going to probably have to make a little bit of a drive, a little bit of an effort to get to school. But the bottom line is we knew we wanted to be South County. And
now, you've been all over the U.S. with your career and now coming back into California. Phil, you'll deal with this with people relocating from different sectors of the U.S. Did you face sticker shock all over again?
We did, but I was kind of ready for it because when I came out of Notre Dame, I was drafted by the Raiders in L.A.
Right.
And so I had my first home, my first check that I had to write for a home was in Los Angeles and in the Manhattan Beach area.
Right.
So I was through that shock at one point before in my life. But definitely, I mean, the timing was probably as good as could have been possible from this standpoint because the market was down. But we felt that on the other side of it, selling in Charlotte. It was a down market in Charlotte when we left, so we didn't really get value on our home out there. But coming out here, we were able to make up for it on the other side because the market was down. It's now starting to come back. I think we timed it about perfectly because we bought our home just over a year ago in Dana Point. And
you hit a bullseye.
We hit a bullseye. Yeah, we're already starting to realize what a good decision
probably
that was.
20-30% already.
Yeah, I think it is. I think you're exactly right. Yeah.
And, Phil is not going to toot his own horn. Phil Immel from Prudential California Realty right here in our backyard in Monarch Beach. But how dependent were you on the agent community to relearn what community you wanted to be in? I know that you came here rented first so you could find that out. What was that like, just trying to resource information of where you were going to land and call home?
Well, it was really important for us to not make a hasty decision. We wanted to be in South County. We didn't know enough about what had been happening in the last 15, 20 years to really make an educated decision that quickly. So we said we're going to rent for a year, and we're going to really just check out all the different areas and see where we really want to be. And we had great help from friends, from family, from our real estate agent, and we just kind of fell into a perfect situation right here in Dana Point. And, man, I'll tell you, it could not have worked out better. We're really happy.
And, Steve, professionally, I think the advice that you got and the steps you took was perfect because if you're relocating from out of area, even if you grew up here, things have changed dramatically. And to do a renting, I call it to clients, I tell them, take a test drive, do rent a house here for a year, get the feel for it. Even if the property went up 10 or 20%, you don't want to make $1 million or more mistake on a given property. Take your time, get settled, make sure the wife is happy, the kids are settled, and before you really pick the permanent situation, because you can't just make rapid decisions when you start buying homes in this category.
Right, and you used the word a couple times, but you want to make sure you get settled, but you don't want to settle for less than what you really want.
Yeah,
if you make a quick decision, a lot of times you're settling for something that really may not be the perfect fit.
Take the test drive like Steve did.
There you go. That's right.
Welcome back to Southern California. Steve Beuerlein, thanks for being with us. Appreciate your insights both on and off the field. Good luck with the analyst work that you're doing now, and looking forward to those insights coming up into the NFL season coming up. Thanks so much.
You got it. Glad to be a part of it. Thanks.
As we close out this show, I want to draw special attention, and as we always do each week, Phil, we bring our focus over to Moshi, Tanzania, right here in Orange County. Rita Langland started this orphanage down in Moshi, supports 50 kids, right in the epicenter of the AIDS pandemic. So many of these children, and like the little boy that we're showcasing today, little Ray, lost both mom and dad to the AIDS virus and was found street side, just abandoned, had given up, and is now in this orphanage, clean drinking water, education, clothing, a safe harbor to land and now be developed, and it's just this vibrant, excited young man. You'll see his picture on our website at nelsonradio.com. want to thank you for being with the show. Phil, the real estate guru. The guru is back with Nelson Radio. And then, of course, gaining the insights of Sanford Edward as he had the vision to look at this 1.5 miles of coastline and thinking it could be all of these things with the custom homes that have been built here as we broadcast from the Strand at the Beach Club. It's an unbelievable, beautiful coastside community. And then, of course, to our producer, Phil Giangron, and our production manager, Adam Evans, thanks for your work. We're going to be right back here next week. You can reach us at 888-2136. That's 888-888-2136. And we're going to have some great video of this piece of property, of this 120-odd acres of beautiful coastline property. Look forward to it. We'll look forward to being back with you next week.
Nelson is a licensed lender under the California Department of Corporations, NMLS 331060.
This is Nelson from Nelson Radio, and it's important that we talk about a very serious issue. We had bad lending practices that led to the mortgage meltdown, but now we've got the challenge of deplorable customer service coming out of the meltdown. Bottom line, getting a new loan can be like pulling teeth without Novocaine. I've got the solution. Academy Mortgage and my team are injecting into the industry real performance and real accountability. Here are the facts. Appraisals in less than a week. Rate guarantees that can improve if the market goes down. Purchase transactions with our market-exclusive close-on-time guarantees and refinance transactions in as little as 30 days. Who would have thunk? Guaranteed rates and guaranteed performance from your mortgage lender. Call me, Nelson, an accountable loan expert for nearly 3 decades. Direct at 888-888-2136. That's Nelson at 888-888-2136. 888-888-2136 or at strongcreditrewards.com.